time for the district. We've accomplished a lot over the last almost 6 years since I've been the fire chief. Partnered up with the sheriff's office, county commissioners helped us. We built a new boathouse down here on the water. They have a boat on one side of our fireboat, on the other side, we call it a new fireboat. They just got back from New York, driving our new rescue bag, be in service this weekend. We're going to be having an open house next month on the 17th. We'll be sending out letters to everybody for that. See everybody there. Check out all of our stuff, and then we're going to have from the time we opened up till now what we've accomplished over the years that we've done. Call volume. Our call volume is about 84 a month right now.
Well, Jeremy, thank you very much for coming and doing your presentation. And I don't think you could find a person in the city of Lakeside. United, you guys are doing great. You really built up the fire department under your command, and we're really proud of you. Thank you, Jeremy.
Jeremy, how many volunteers do you have?
18.
18.
And it's it's getting missed everywhere. Depending on how many show up, you got your handful, 6 to 8 that run calls all the time. Or that's the biggest thing.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Next is City of Lakeside, 2 Mile Lake Park, State Partnership.
Thank you, Gary Edwards. For the record, it's on. Do I have to talk in the same voice?
You're fine.
You're
Yeah,
fine.
I haven't turned it on, but
For the record, my name is Mike Mader. I work for the 10 Mile Lake Basin Partnership. Since I only went to North Bend, I can't count how many years because it's more than my 10 and my toes and my fingers. So I've forgotten more about everything than I'll probably be able to say. The commissioners are going to be surprised because I'm not really here to talk about TLBP. I want everybody in this room to know that this trio of commissioners, I've been working for 26 years, I've worked against, with, battled, and for commissioners in this group I have particular fondness for, and they have done so much and everything we've asked for. Drafting our MOUs, being a sponsor, and being the chair of the TLBP. So I really appreciate them showing up, and I think they know how I feel. But I wanted all you to know. Again, I'm here. I'm not really going to talk about TLBP. I may be in trouble with Tom or Bob, but I really don't care. And we're kind of in a unique situation as TLBP. We're not affiliated, so we've been kind of studying. And I've talked to James, I've talked to Tom, and I've really kind of been able to whittle down what are really our priorities. Really, I mean, the life and death ones, the lakes, we're going to do it even though we're different. Let's get the real life and death ones, the water district, and the fire district. And I'll start with the fire district and follow up on some of what Jeremy said. We've been working, or TLBP has been working with Shelley and some of the fire board to write grants. And they actually just received an ODF staffing grant for $35,000. So the chief is looking to hire some 2 people. Our goal would be at the fire district to have the chief and 2 other permanent employees for at least 6 years. And we pull out 6 years because that is some of the time frame of the big current grants. So, I mean, I think we'd be happy with a year, wouldn't we, Jeremy? But I mean, that's some of, where it's coming in. Some of the grants are available at 6. All of this is leading to make sure that you guys know what the fire department needs, and then asking for your help to chase money. You guys have the networks. You may have a grant person that can help. I mean, it is the fire district. It's kind of a white flag to where, and when I talked to my mother complaining about writing too many grants, she said, you're going to write that one. Okay. Because these people say, my friends. They have a FEMA match pending. I mean, they've been doing a great job. I don't think a grant's been written in a long time, but we've been trying to put them out. And of course, Jeremy reported that they got a new fire truck for 187. There's a new grant, FEMA grant, that we're working on, and it's due next January. And we're also looking at, I don't know what this acronym is, SDAO, the security grants are 5, so they are working really hard to get money. I think they need our help. I mean, they need us, I mean, we're not asking for money out of the county budget, but just some guidance and your networks of where this money's at. See, wait. He falls asleep at my board meeting, so I'm getting used to it.
What's the FEMA grant for?
The FEMA grant is for 6 years of staffing. And one of them is currently in front of Senator Merkley's staff. He's working on several of them. I'm sure he's got a million of them in congressional 2023 funding sources. But you know, one thing, if you have a source or if you have some ideas, the water district is full. I mean, we're different. We're not at war anymore. Nothing's I mean, we need help. Does that make sense? And I hope you guys have some ideas. Melissa told me she'd throw me out in 10 minutes, so I got to hurry. On the water district, this has been interesting, and it really tells you where we're at on this. I had to fight to get this information because they're worried, but they need our help. The chair is also a person that's one of my highly respected board members, but he doesn't like people, so he's not going to go out in front like this and ask for help. Dennis Sargent is not going to do that, but he does. They've got a plan, and we need water. We need to increase our capacity for our town. They've got a plan, they've got an engineering plan, and they're ready. They have submitted a grant to the 2003 federal FIY. So whenever, you know, we had 2 requests for our community in front of Merkley. We're talking to Dana Black or any of those folks. If we can get that prioritized, not let it die, or come up with some other answers for that. The importance of this, they've got a whole page here. I mean, their request, and they're proposing there's $6 million something. I hope I can say that without getting shot. Can I say more, sir? Sure. Everybody, Dennis Sargent from the Water District. You may not even know who he is. He's also the vice chair of the TLDP, and he's been there a long time. And his wife Deb. So they would let this funding, and they need help to replace the treatment pumps. They need to replace backwash pump. They need new priming and 3 intake pumps. They need to replace chlorine analyzer, replace surface analyzers, and that's just some of the equipment. Some of the goals on this, we have demands coming up from North Lake for clean water up on Hilltop. Some of the plans would be, we've got to find some property and put 500,000 gallon tanks up there to start serving them clean water. And of course, you guys know some of those people are pulling bucks a gallon here. Yeah, they have a whole list here. Now, whether I can provide it to you and for staff, I will try. But the whole point would be is that, you know, we clearly identified the city is doing well and got their sewer plant. That was on the list, although I think we still need $4 million or something. You can always use or more. I'm just getting the fingers go up. So I think you're getting our idea. And I know you guys get these requests all the time. But I also know that you're sitting there and you're the top of who's getting. And if we can prioritize these again, like we've done for 10 Mile, I think we can for that. Then we need your help. I think we're all open for that. This is kind of a great start. I was very pleased that most of the mayor invited all the governments here. I'm pleased, and we're not fighting. So I think we passed that. I think we need your guys' help. So that's I am able to answer any of the questions, but Melissa's shaking her finger at me.
So the EPA is providing a lot more money for taking. Yes. Is that an option for Lakeside, or
We need to look at all options. They've applied before and it came in where our rates were too low, and we didn't apply for those, but they're adjusting that same thing with the city.
well, what about through a combination of like USDA?
USDA, we
That was the one
applied,
that they refused.
and yeah, we got
But
turned down
she-
to,
But the rates have changed, so she may have, I don't know, to take over, but I think that's the way I mean.
I mean, there's a lot of money that's going to the state revolving fund from
It's
EPA.
gonna be clean, I mean, water, you think that'd be a white flag,
Yeah,
you know,
they got
and
the
then
funds.
safety for our seniors, you know, everybody knows that you think. Working all together, including the city, you guys are a big part too, if we all work together, we get the stuff done how we go.
And it's
So-
very popular.
It took 10 years, so it's gonna make 10 years. We need this stuff immediately, don't we, Gary?
They usually
Okay.
would show. if
Thank you.
they
Thank
want
you,
your
Melissa.
plans, then-
Mayor James Edwards, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Mike.
right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Next, we have today's lakeside wastewater project. Rick Savidra, our wastewater treatment plant supervisor, right?
Good morning, all.
Good afternoon.
That's it. Well, I'm gonna give a little update, but also have to pass a couple of pictures around with the MBR that we're putting in. This is just a refresher. I know the engineers have presented before, but for those who haven't seen it, about what the facility will do for us, how it's structured, is it has a tank that treats the waste and puts it in an anoxic zone, which means no air. Then it goes over the membranes where they suck out the clean water, and then we dispose of the sludge. But anyway, this is the facility that we're gonna get. The updates of this at the moment, we're 90% done with the surveying, that of the old lines, the new lines, and right of way. So that's already been almost been completed. The RFP, or the request for proposals for the membranes, is going out this week. There are several different manufacturers of it, so we'll see how that turns out, comes around. The engineer has also started working on going after the funding for this phase 2 of the project. We have enough money for the phase 1. Then, but in order to complete it, we have to have other funds to get the project completed. Just for an update for the crew, we're going to go to Bandon tomorrow, look at their facility and show the guys what actually is going to happen. This is actually my 5th membrane plant. I've done 2 water plants and 2 other wastewater plants, construction management for membrane plants. So this is, for me, it's old hat, but I need to train the guys to get them up to speed because it's a different kind of concept and mechanism that they'll be working with. As you're aware that we don't have enough money to complete the project, so that's certainly ongoing. But along with the project itself, we're also $9 million short for infrastructure repairs that we need. That includes pump stations and standby generators, piping, and different apparatus that we need. That's separate from what we're already funding for. Because the plan is going to cost at least $20 million, and so we only have about 14 of that money right now. So we're still working on it. This for fun too, this because it's the serious things about money and construction. This is some of the things that could happen with new plants. This is a memory plant that I started. The reaction between what they soak the membranes in and then what happened when they hit it with water. This is what happened. It's a picture of the foaming issues that you can get that literally build it over a whole town.
Thank you, Rick.
So that's pretty much where we're at. So
Bring the
we're
kids
moving over uphill. But I do want to update you on the biggest problem that we have operating wise. It's actually our STEM system and the STAG systems. You guys familiar with STEM systems, STAG systems? STEM.
Not I.
They're small house units that provide effluent. The STEM system has a pump. The STAG system has gravity feed on it. They're very expensive. They're getting wore out. So we're going to see huge bills coming up. Even now, as we have to pump them up, we're looking at a minimum of $400 per tank. And we have about 130 tanks. At some point, that's going to catch us up in a big way. So we're working on it the best we can. We also have quite a bit of infrastructure that was never mapped. So in reality, we don't know where a lot of the sewer lines are in town, especially on Council Hill and up on Hilltop. We don't know where things are at. The only way we find them is they break. So which is a good thing. But anyway, that's some of the main problems that we're having, and it'll crop its head up a little bit more as we go along. So for myself too, is there any questions I can answer for?
I have a question,
Please.
but you mentioned 4 things here that you, if I understood it right, you need. You're 90% done with the pipe inspection,
No, 90% done with the survey.
survey.
Yes, that includes the pipes, the existing pipe, where the new pipe's going to go, and the right of ways.
Oh, okay, actually it's surveying on the ground. That's
Correct.
for that.
Yep.
And how much more is that going to cost?
Well, it's already been budgeted out, so I don't know exactly.
And the membrane process plant?
No, we're short about at least $6 million. at least,
And you're 9 million short general upgrades to the entire system.
correct.
Does that include the 6?
No, that's not, it's separate. Those been identified.
And then the stack, and what's the other system?
Stay,
And stack system?
Yep.
Those gotta be fixed immediately.
correct.
And how much?
Oh, we're looking at maybe $1 million in reality.
Is that part of the 9 million for infrastructure?
No, it's not.
That's it.
This has been identified as of late. We have a real big issue. That most cities do not take over those systems. They're usually left to the homeowners because then the way the homeowner has responsibility for it. And so if they have an issue and they misuse it, it's their dime, not ours. But we're stuck with it at this point in time.
Well, Bob's the only one of the 3 of us that could offer significant help.
Everybody has a sewer one, was put in.
We should have one then.
Everybody had septic tanks before that. In a 50 by 100 lot, we had what all the sand, hammered in by hand in the front yard, and the septic tanks in the back there. And in between, the sand filtered it out.
Well, thank goodness we got past that.
Good old days.
The one had the big flood, which was water filled the street over here. The well and the septic were pretty close proximity back here by the original school. And part of the kids got hepatitis from the contaminated water. So then they decided to do the water treatment plant, relay, and later on the sewer lines. The sewer plant. My sister still has hepatitis today. Mhm.
All right.
So just,
Oh, good.
just to clarify really quick, the step and state systems, are they on private property or,
Yes,
okay, but the city has accepted responsibility for them?
that's correct.
And you have easements to go in and repair them or
Yes,
another thing?
yes.
Okay,
Find out quite some time.
Basically, when you put in your septic tank system, if it doesn't, well, no, if you connect to the sewer and you don't have gravity flow to the treatment plant, then you have to put in a step system that will pump the effluent up to the main line. Different, separate tank instead of a drain field, so basically the same thing. Rick, thank you very much for coming, sitting, and joining us tonight, and thank you for your service to us. Great job, thank you. State of Lakeside County Railroad Project, 68 Oregon Railroad County grant for pedestrian upgrade. Melissa, did you say you were going to comment on this one?
Yeah, I can. I don't know if this is on, it's not. So the railroad project is a collaboration between the county, the Oregon Rails, and the city, which is an SCA grant, small city allotment grant. When I came on board, this was already in flux. It was already happening, the project. And so it had been kind of dropped and then got picked up. So it's includes an asphalt overlay from Airport Way to Railroad Avenue with areas of asphalt repair around sewer manholes between Railroad Avenue and Christie Loop. It has a multi-use path that will be constructed on the west side of North 8th, beginning approximately 30 feet north of the railroad crossing, extending south to the intersection of North 8th Street and Railroad. We're hoping a precast railroad crossing will be installed at the tracks. And then we have been working with, the county has donated or granted us $10,000 to help fix some of those manholes. So that we won't have the, where you're, you feel like you're playing Mario Kart as you go down. And then the small city allotment grant was $100,000, which we already received half of that. And then the Oregon Rails has also given us $100,000. So $210,000 altogether for this project. We just went out to bid. We only had one bidder, and they came in at $243,000. And so, like everything else, everything's gone up, money's gone up. We're kind of committed to this project. We have no out at this point because we've already accepted funds. So unless we want to cancel and say no, we got to make it work somehow. So we're looking for collaboration. Any thoughts with the county on this? Or they're not here represented. I wish they were, but I'm talking about probably going back to Oregon or to Coos Rail and seeing if they can donate some money to this project to help balance that out, since they're having the big project come through and they would probably have to do that anyway. So we'll see how we make it work, but we are thankful for the county for their 10,000 and the MOU that is getting signed, I guess, and getting back to us about that. So if there's any questions on that project.
I was just wondering, if we wait and seek bids a little bit, not in the peak time.
We are on a deadline because this grant was done. I think it's like almost 2 years now into it. I got here and the ball had been kind of in passing with, I think, staff and things that happened. The Small City Allotment Grant has to be closed out by December. So we are on a very definite, quick timeline to get this project completed, or we're going to have to just give the funds back, which we don't want to do. And so that's where we're at on that project.
What I would do if I were you is call a lady named Yvette, or YVETTE. And be blessed name is Rose, RHODES, at Ford Family Foundation.
Oh, the Ford family.
I think they might have a grant category for things.
That they
like
can
this.
get us the funds that quick, though, that we can get the project done by December.
They won't if you don't try.
Yeah, it's true.
And you're-
No, I'm familiar with the Ford family, yeah.
I think they're big enough that you
Yeah.
might have the authority. to make a
Okay.
grant like that
Okay,
without going to their full.
we'll do it.
Thank you, John. That's a great. So, you know,
Yep.
Maybe if something happens. The bottom line is we have $200,000 on the table that we need to spend on the project. If we do not. I think that's really important to make sure that they
Yeah.
know that. You've got a lot of money, skin in the game, I always like that. You know, and this declaration should be very compelling. Great. If, you know, they make grants for certain things, and I think they can figure out something to make this fair. Am I wrong, John? Do they have a limit of $50,000 on their applications? I think Yvette has authority to make grants up to $50,000 without full board approval, which takes a while to get.
Mhm.
All right, great. I think she can be pretty responsive. Whether the response is yes or no, I don't know.
I'll contact her tomorrow.
Well, I think that pretty much concludes our presentation on the city of Lakeside. I do believe that as having been mayor for the last 4 or 5 years, that we are making progress in Lakeside. And we are making improvements in Lakeside, and we're growing. It's fun to watch it happen, and I'll be watching from the sidelines. So at this time, I'll introduce Sharon Kenby, Councilor Kenby. She's the only one in the running for my job, so she'll be our next mayor probably in November. And you're welcome, sir.
He tells me at least once a week.
Okay.
Do it right now, do it right now.
So at this time, let's turn it over to county. There's some items on here for you folks to answer. They're talking about it. And the first one is future collaboration.
We're gonna go Wait,
10 Mile Lake.
10 Mile
Park.
Lakes.
Before we get into
County
that.
Park.
Oh, city, yeah, that's right. Thank you. Before we get into that, I'd like to thank all of you for the opportunity to come tonight and exchange ideas and concerns. It's very important that we do that. And I want to say congratulations to Jamie. You've done a great job as mayor. You've been good to work with. And I know you'll be missed, like Jerry, I know you'll fill the shoes. So with that, I'd like to talk a little bit about the county park. Unless some of the other commissioners have something they want to say, let's I can talk about the things we have done to the park in the last couple of years and the things that we hope to do going ahead. I guess I'll do that in that. You know, one of the things I marvel at is how much gets done in this county. We're not a wealthy county. I don't know of any cities or any that are what you would call wealthy in this county. I know the county itself is not wealthy. I can tell you that we collect each year $6 million in property taxes, a little shy of that. The county's budget is $130 million a year. So everyone complains about taxes, but our county tax rate is the second lowest in the state, less than 40% of the average. And the fact that we're able to deliver reasonably well most of the services that counties normally deliver, using only $6 million out of $130 million of county taxpayers' money, out of $130 million that county takes to run the county. I have to give a lot of credit to our county department heads, and I think our leadership can take some of that credit. It mainly belongs to our staff. They're the ones, commissioners come and go. They're the ones that really run the county. Regarding the park, I can talk about things that we have done the last couple of years and things that we have on our agenda to get done. We've got 2 new floating boat ramps at the marina. In total, those cost $260,000. We have 2 new aluminum gangways. Together, they cost $160,000. These things are expensive. We put in a kayak launch, $42,000 for that. Littler things, like we put a fence around our shop area to kind of just hide all the trash and things that accumulate, old parts around the park from the people that like to come here. The boat wash station has been there a while, but that was $60,000. This last year, we replanked the fishing dock, which I think is used a lot by county lakeside citizen.
Yes.
At 240 lineal feet of decking. I had to take note. Memory's not that good. We put in 45 new fire pits throughout the campground. We used to have those old worn out beams made out of concrete that was all eroded away with rebar exposed and pretty dangerous, really. This last year we had to put new flooring in 3 of the bathrooms in the restroom at the park. We're looking at a plan to and we have planned for this year new tables for all of the campsites in the park. They'll be metal framed and with 2x8 tops. On the plans, high in our list of things to do, it's budgeted for trying to get the help to do it, is to put handicap access and new sidewalk in the marina, handicap access to the restroom there. Nothing very flashy, but very, very necessary if you want to get more grants to do any of these things. We plan to re-roof both of the restroom buildings, the one at the marina and the one at the campground. We're working with the watershed for a pavilion at Wolfie Beach. I don't know how many people are aware of that.
TLA too.
Yeah, and so a lot of that is being done with the help of Alan Whitney and Rod Malcolm. I'm sure you all know that. we're looking at putting a camping hut. A couple of our parks, 2 or 3, have stick-built cabins, which are very popular. It allows people that don't have a camper or an RV or even a tent. So you come get a sleeping bag and an air mattress and go camping. And we're looking at doing that on the point over there.
There's like lyrics where they can just see them.
We kind of like a year. Yeah. Not a year. And that's what we got. We are going to replace 2 of the horseshoe pits, or 4 of the pits, I think. Or so 2 of the horseshoe games with 2 cornhole games. This is a very popular game now. Instead of throwing a heavy horseshoe, throw a beanbag and hit a little hole, and they make concrete targets for those things. Yeah, I've seen them at Willard State Park and near Van. They're very attractive and used a lot. We'll think that's it. Thinking bigger and beyond that, we all think that the way our park has been developed, that the camping spots are way too close together. There's, if you look out your window, you're looking into your neighbor's window, and not much of a camping experience. And of course, every now and then you have a little wind out here. It kind of roaring through there, makes it about as convenient as nice as the tarmac at North Bend Airport. There's a campground. We're trying to figure out a way to do that, space out the camping sites so that it would be fewer, but it would be more attractive and perhaps in the end attract more people. Although we've had pretty good luck as things are, but I don't think we can count on that. I think we've got to make our park much more attractive. Don't quite have that figured out.
And maybe doing more of the landscaping with people else.
Well, that would make room for landscaping. We can't find trees tall and big enough to fit between the campsites there. Of course, seems to be a lot of that. With- No, but those are things that we have done and are planning to do in the near term, hoping to do longer term.
I think we're going to replace the concrete sidewalk.
In
I was just talking about
that,
have the grant for the concrete.
that goes along with the tank. That's in the
whole
yeah,
sidewalk.
sidewalk and the. Yeah. that's- Yeah. And then we hope to replace, if we have to remove some of the camp sites kind of around the perimeter of the campground. We hope to replace at least some of those with pull-through RV sites out in the middle of the big tarmac area there.
So when all that improves, the city gets the transit lodging tax from that. So hopefully you'll have more people staying there, which translates more to the transit lodging tax.
I could tell you, sorry, he's like, you know, the, where he uses.
Yeah, well, our campground is open to ATV. I'll get this one on the head. You know, we in the minds of our parks department, what they've tried to do is offer the county a variety of park opportunities. I'm sorry, got my back, everyone here. I can pull that. And if you think about it, we have 2 campgrounds, Laverne and Powers, that are inland and a bit away from the fog and the wind. We have 1 campground. These are, I'm talking about our bigger campground. We have 1 campground that's on a beach, and that's Baston North. And we have 1 dunes campground. And we've always thought of this campground until recently as kind of a lake campground. But we've opened it up to RVs or those things to understand. And we get some business from that. I know there's pressure to allow the RVs or ATV, whatever the hell you call them, to go right through our campground into our neighbors' campground. It's not that we don't like the competition, it's that we don't think it's appropriate to have those going through a campground that someone is paying to use. So that's why we resist. In my mind, you have a perfectly good road they can drive down, but that's up to all of you, and you have to decide on that. So that's why we are not eager to have those go through our campground. Both people pay to use that, not to have people coming through. So that's largely my opinion. I know it's shared by our two fellow commissioners.
Has Riley Rack been fairly successful?
Yeah, we added 35 slots to run the branch this year.
So the ATVs make us?
So
And we're both almost a year in advance.
Fantastic.
maybe that's
So when we're full, here, because I know they can go to the meeting.
Yeah, well,
campsites are returned clear.
Out here, I have.
There's quite a few, I can't remember.
It's 40s. We're in the
I
40s.
was gonna say 46.
You know what, these plans would trim that down, how many we would lose approximately.
Well, the easy way to do it is take out every other one. But at 45. At some point in time, then it takes a certain amount of overhead to run each campsite, or campground. Plus, we do get paid through our RV registration fees for every RV site that we have. But too often, these aren't used out here. Sometimes think we'd be better off with fewer but more attractive sites. But that's a study we've got to do. We've got lots of priorities and this.
I could talk about something like Laurel for a hedge to do. It cuts down the wind. Makes it work a lot more livable in the same kind of ways. And gives a screen to the neighbors to the next door on either side. That's
I think a big difference too, is going to be have, sand trail for road, but see, because that's one thing you have around the ranch is you have the ability to use paddle tires there because it's all sand. You can't tire it out.
Well, it's much to the chagrin of the pedal tire people. It's gravel, clear out to the bridge. It goes across the top of the railroad, so it's innocent.
Okay.
That it's an advantage for us and it slows them down considerably. None of the advantage to them.
Yeah, I know our pavement though, discouraging a lot of help.
Probably will continue to make a big difference.
Yeah.
I don't know how we do that. But I certainly welcome observations and comments, questions.
You can ask.
About parts.
You can ask.
If I
me to
may,
clarify.
Chair Sweden, Chair. The only issue that we have is the city is now funding the maintenance of Wolfen Beach. And in the beginning, we made an agreement, and a gentleman's agreement with Wolfen Beach, with Wolfen's family to donate $5,000 a year. And I don't believe I believe they did for about 3 years and they quit donating. Now we're, pardon?
Yeah, they stopped and now we're picking it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now we pay $5,000 a year to maintain Wolfen Beach grounds. I don't know that we were aware that, my memory is that, that when you got that grant, you assumed full responsibility, but we'll get back to help.
You're correct.
We'll get back to help. Okay. Anything else on that? No, I just committed our parts of something they have a hard time doing, but yeah, we'll try our best.
Commissioner Sweet, and the other
We
commissioners.
were going to allow a
I
couple
was
comments.
curious as to if you guys have seen an increase this year possibly because of the ATVs at County Park, if there's been an increase in your attendance at the campgrounds.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. We go in there and I've seen lots of ATVs.
The
this
last
year,
2 years, it's been really, really.
which is
good.
great. I mean, that is more transient tax for us, more revenue for the county. And hopefully we sit in a better position with the county when we ask for help.
The challenge we have is that we know very well that people are tired of being cooped up, and they rebounded mightily the last year or two. And whether we see a continuation of this or not, I don't know. And that's part of the reason that we really need to upgrade this park so that it, people continue to come.
And I agree 1,000,000% because I know that attendance is up for a lot of recreational activities. But I do think that by improving the park and taking advantage of all the people that have seen the county park and the lake and lakeside itself, that a lot of those people will come back as long as we keep making it a pleasant experience.
We got to start making it pleasant experience. I don't think we've made it one yet.
A lot of people have enjoyed it. They really have. I mean, I've talked to, we try to contact as many
Oh, good.
ATVers as we
Good.
can, just to promote Lakeside. And we've
Good.
asked, and they do enjoy the county park and they enjoy being able to ride. I think that a lot of those people don't want to spend a couple $100 a night to stay at the lodge. And so those people bring their $200,000 RVs and don't pay that much to stay out there with their toys and everything else. But I do think I've seen a lot of big RVs with toy haulers and a lot of expensive equipment out there. So there's people with money that are coming and staying in our city, and it's just all of our goal to make sure they come back again.
And you may or may not realize that you're out here in the last few years, but county did the whole 8th Street upgrade, the paving, the curbs, the gutters, the sidewalk, yes, state of the art LED street lights, that sort of stuff. That wasn't that long ago, but we did a whole thing.
You know, and along those lines, we were in Coquille with all of you guys when we had Lori and the mayor and my wife and Shirley and I all showed up at that meeting down there, and we had talked about that if we went citywide, and I need to correct the mayor's statement that Alan read, and he had mentioned the no word citywide. It's on the ballot in November is the residential access and visitor access to the route. You still can't go up Dollar General, which I think is a whole another issue that might be resolved in the future. But it's almost like when we wanted to do the Wood Creek project in 10 Mile Creek, as long as we called it a dam, that wasn't going to go anywhere. We changed it to a wood project, a lot of wood project. It was amazing how fast it went through. And I think we have run into the same issue in verbiage. If we say citywide, it's damaging to our goal, which is to have residents that complain that they can't go out to the dunes. They watch the tourists do it. It's one of the biggest complaints I hear is that they think it's unfair. They live 2 blocks away and they have to trailer to the airport or trailer to the route and then unload when they're watching tourists come in and use all of our facilities. So I understand the complaint, and that's why we have it on the ballot, but it's not citywide, and it's for a lot of reasons. People don't want ATVs running all over our city right now. So just a distinction I think we try to promote. And someday maybe everyone will be okay and see that ATVs aren't as evil as some people think they are, and can actually be very beneficial to our city. It's a unique thing that Lakeside has that luckily we're now starting to take advantage of. And I hope it continues and is very successful.
Well, could you make this area back here a place for your residents to trailer? Your
Actually, the field behind City Hall here is actually an ATV parking area.
Oh, good.
But they could actually pull up the park for a day. I mean, it's not gonna spend 72 hours and 24 hours, the homeless thing that we're dealing with. If they want to use it for the day, they can stop en route, as long as it's a legal parking spot, unload their stuff and drive out to the dunes.
Same with the airport.
The airport
What
parking.
we started with was at that meeting, it was discussed at the time that if North Lake did have access, that you folks were discussing with us at that time, access from 15th Street on and improvements to North Lake, such as you did on 8th. Would that still be a possibility if,
And you know, the ultimate experience in Lakeside in my brain is if the tourists could come here, stay in Lakeside, either at the county park or the lodge or anywhere else that they want to stay, go out to the dunes during the day. Someone could go out in the lake during the day. And if people want to go up to Loon Lake through the Elliott on their ATV, they could explore the Elliott on an ATV, which once you get up to the gravel up there is legal. But we got this little stretch here that we can't get there. And if we have more access in our city and we can connect that to the Elliott, that's just another recreational opportunity, which could bring more transient tax.
You know where the city stops and the county starts at 15.
I understand.
Now, one thing I discussed our outgoing roadmaster, John Rowe, is that he will want to come back for parks, et cetera, to write grants. He's been very good at getting grants. And so he was doing roadmaster and solid waste and parks all at once, and that was a bit much, so we spun off parks. But if he comes back and just writes grants, might be an advantage for improving, much like Evan.
Thank
And I know that, Mr. Maine, you personally have an attachment to Lakeside. Because
Yeah, this was my sixth grade classroom.
So that's awesome. So I do appreciate that your openness to.
Yeah.
And for the other commissioners. We appreciate all the help.
Mr. Jim, I apologize, I see your point, and I used the wrong verbiage when I wrote that, yes. Access to the dune grounds.
I've done it many times myself, and it's just that it's the same thing that if we set a dam, people.
I understand. I apologize.
So we have proposed, and it's not finalized yet, about increasing the jail capacity. You know, John talked about total tax, property tax we give is about 6 million this budget year. It takes over 7 just to run the jail at 48 to 50 beds. The capacity at 250. Talking about a 4-year levy, 5-year levy at 45 cents per thousand. Now, if you remember the county gas pipeline, that runs what, 25 cents a week.
It's 25 cents per thousand.
That's going to drop off at the end of next June, when, if it passes, the new jail levy would start. So instead of 45 cents, it would be 20 cents. And 2 years after that, when everybody voted, it was great. This new enhanced 911 system that's now up and running. If you don't know, it's working really well. We partnered with CFPA, Food Sports Protective Association, who have almost double the sites, trans sites for radio contact. That would drop off in another 2 years. So it would be basically the same as what you're paying now for the last 3 years of the levy. And hopefully take some more folks that need some time out.
How much will that bring in? How many that's for?
You're taking new. Go ahead.
The reason was good.
So that at 45 cents, the county tax right now is $1 rate. At 45 cents a thousand, I believe it's going to bring in right about 20, which is actually definitely sufficient. The challenge we're going to run into is the personnel. I don't know if anybody's on the sheriff's office Facebook page, put a flyer out. I've been in contact with Bi-Coastal Media for a PSA. They're going to give us for free. Thankfully, we can't afford it for recruiting. So that's going to be a huge challenge. That money will allow us to open up the jail to 150 beds. As opposed right now, we have 49, which obviously is not near enough. Once we hire the personnel for it. So trying to be really aggressive with that recruiting. So if you know anybody that wants a career, good job. Recently, county, they're super supportive of us. Recently, it's a 6% pay raise, so we're up to about $25 an hour starting. And it goes up from there, full benefits. It's not recruiting.
James, you're done being mayor soon.
Yeah.
I think if they're certified in something, agency, we start at close to 70,000 plus benefits.
Yes. So we start off this stuff.
Are you talking patrol deputies or veteran?
For the levy, it would be jail.
The jail.
Yeah.
In Coquille?
Yes. Sir. Yeah.
We're short on both.
We are, yeah. So we've been putting so much emphasis on getting the jail open. All of our hiring efforts have gone to that. We're still about 4 shy right now. We have, with that flyer we put up, we got 5 new applications. I'm very excited on Monday. It's like, I'll jump in. So we're still a little shy in the jail, but by doing that, we are now 9 short. We've actually, campus informed, has been trying to come up with all these creative concepts. We've taken a couple of our detectives and are using them to backfill some of the contracts. And use those. We're struggling really bad on right now. Well, we don't have enough to fill more than 2 people per shift. 24/7. So both. But levy is specifically for the jail. I think that'll also help with the other cogs and the law enforcement system, DA's office, the whole spring, post supervision. So, did that answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the update and good luck in getting those key deputies. I think that we all need them. We need to have the jails have more capacity and put more bad guys in jail. There's too many of them running on the streets.
Oh, absolutely.
And along those lines, with what we were just touching on before, thank you. And I think personally, every time I see a deputy in Lakeside, because they have to come off the highway to come in, please come get a sandwich, get a cup of coffee, wave to somebody, and we'll thank you every time we see you in town. It's awesome, and we really appreciate any patrols you give us, because we all know we don't have them.
Yeah.
We appreciate anything you get in the show.
Yeah, if you guys are interested, I thought I might get asked about numbers, so I asked supervisor. Thank you. The full numbers for the last 12 months. I didn't do the count for the last 12 months. So I'm just gonna, if you guys are interested, I'll read what she said. I have numbers for you, August 21 to July 22. Total calls processed through dispatch with Lakeside address 2,108. Quite a bit. If you take out medical or medicals and MBA 1,686. Some of the medical and MBA, though, deputies do respond to 1,686 would be an understated number.
That's incredible. So thank you very much for that.
Do you have a chance to tap into any of the employees that were laid off from Shutter Street?
We did. I think we have 4 of them right now.
Good.
Which the problem is we lose so many people to other agencies and due to political climate that those kind of back them. It's like,
I know there's kind of a scarce thing to have.
it's good.
We did scrape together some money, three in our budget committee, which was 3 of lay people from the county. And we had another DEA, deputy district attorney, help relieve the stress in that department for prosecutions. So they were doing untold amount of prosecutions per day.
They were
Huge backlog.
That's all. They got to a point where there were 2,500 cases. Wow. And they're not union, so they get overtime. So Paul Frazier, he asked them, hey, please help with this backlog so that their DBAs are staying over a lot on their own time. And they got it done 1,500. They're trying to do it. And that's not all those cogs in the wheel. It's all still important.
But they all volunteered to jump in.
Incredible. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you guys do, not just for Lakeside, but you guys do.
Appreciate it. We're so fortunate.
Captain Sanborn here will be compared to all patrols. And I don't know what else, but patrols mean.
So I'm gonna be, I'm in charge of the criminal division, which includes our patrol division, animal control contracts, like our sand deputies that are in Lakeside are under a sergeant, but ultimately my responsibility. And then also detectives and the entire criminal division. So maybe the point of contact for those type of things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could add just one more thing about the jail, this is perhaps the most important issue that's come before this commission. Point out something. Melissa and I joined Bob on the Board of Commissioners. This will be 10 years ago, January. We are the only county commission that had been elected at that time that still is intact. And despite my being there, I think we have a really, really great county commission. But this is the most important thing that I think's come before us. Maybe there's something else that's not coming to mind. This is a very fortuitous time. I think that there's a general awareness in the county that we have a crime problem. And I'll cite a news article in this week's Goose Bay World, or whatever they call it now. There was a fella arrested towards the end of last week that had tried to enter a restaurant through the air vent. He got stuck and got spent the night there. Earlier that same week, he had been arrested for the very same crime, a different restaurant. Taken to the jail, booked and released. And 4 days later, he was right back down air vent. And that's happening all the time. I don't know how many people we have that are brought to the jail, and in order to take one in, we've got to release a murderer or a rapist or something like that, so that we can take in someone who's committed a property crime, and that just doesn't happen. So there are no consequences in this county for bad behavior. It also applies to our parole and probation division. We have a very, very good parole and probation department, but without the jail as the stick, the people that are in parole and probation just immediately resort to bad behaviors as soon as they're sentenced, and they're right back with us again, but we still don't hear nothing to do. So it's a fortuitous time. I think there's general awareness throughout the county that there's a need for more public safety, and the jail is where we are really, really short. We have patrol that's backed up by city and state patrol. Even though we're short, there's a lot of backup there, but we have the only jail in the county. So you depend on it.
There's no way you can figure Sugar Creek into that?
We don't own it.
I know, but I mean, no way you get a partnership with it, I mean, that's already there.
It's the state of Oregon, for God's sake.
Yeah, I know.
The other thing that we have that I think is fortuitous, we have two small county tax levies, the gas pipeline and the emergency communication system, that one of which will expire before the proposed public jail levy even starts, and the other of which will expire 2 years after that. So in the end, you would be paying the same amount of taxes that you are now, and yet you increase the capacity of the jail by a factor of 3, going from 1 pot to 3 pot.
We don't have a holding facility for juveniles. They're transported to Douglas County, to their jail. PNP, parole and probation, rents jail space in Lewisburg because of the lack of our jails.
But the point I want to make, is fine for the 3 commissioners, the sheriff's department, the DA department. Everyone sit down and talk about it. But in the end, it's going to be up to all of you. And
That's on the ballot in November.
in November, and not just you, your neighbors. And we've got to get this talked up. We've got to explain the need for it. I think you should know, but a lot of people don't. We've got to explain that it's not going to result in any increase in taxes other than a 20 cent per $1,000, which on a $300,000 home, $60 a year, $5 a month. That's the only cost there would be to you versus what we all are paying in taxes right now. So we have a unique opportunity, but in the end, it's not the 3 of us. We can tout it, but we can't put it in without your help.
And so another ballot measure be on for the county is the new mushroom. Psychosilin. Psilocybin. I mean, it's a good driving me crazy. What we did was in the explanation. And yes means you vote no. We explained that yes means no, you don't want the mushroom manufacturer in it, so people know how they're voting. And no means yes, you want it.
Oddly enough, but.
Oh.
So
We also have,
specifically
we have it on.
in the measure said, yes is no, and no is yes.
Well, and I believe.
We
City
have
of
it on
Lakeside is
the,
also focused on-
yeah,
Yeah, we joined with you guys.
yeah, well, north, yeah, with all the cities, yeah.
Back to the jail.
Mhm.
I heard a lot, of people very frustrated with the site and release all the time, so. Good.
And I can share with you from a patrol standpoint that we are just as frustrated with it as well.
Must-
Oftentimes, my staff goes and responds to the same person multiple times. And with COVID and everything else, we've had to get kind of inventive with our solutions. And unfortunately, they aren't always the best solutions. But it's what we have available to us in our toolbox. So your frustrations are our frustrations.
And I think it's important to point out too, this isn't something that like, where the sheriff's office didn't do things right. You know, the difficulty recruiting and retaining law enforcement officers is a nationwide issue. I was on a webinar the other day where they were talking about, they had surveyed the Chief of Police Association in the United States, and 75% of all the chiefs of police were reporting they were having difficulty recruiting and retaining officers. And unfortunately, what happens in the system is when, you know, one of the agencies starts paying a little more, it puts pressure on the other agencies to raise their pay or, you know, raise their benefits. And so there's only so many certified officers available. And again, you know, as you mentioned with COVID, it hasn't made a big difference here. So I appreciate the efforts that have been made to find a solution.
This lady.
Thank you guys for coming. My question is for the captain. We're super grateful that we saw the press release of a DUI arrest of a traditional vehicle. And we've been curious as to if there was access on more streets within the city, would Dune Patrol be able to then follow someone who's riding erratically where OHVs are allowed?
That is currently what we are doing.
Okay. great.
Inside the
Thank
city
you.
of Lakeside. And in fact, we have sought a grant through Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, which has funded an extra position that sadly, due to our staffing level, we're unable to currently fill. Specifically because of Lakeside's opening itself up to ATVs.
Thank
So,
you.
Now, keep in mind, this is a year-to-year grant.
Right.
Or I guess it's every 2 years. Yeah, every 2 years.
I'm super hopeful.
So, you know, it's something that once we get the staff, my sincere hope is to fill and to maintain and to continue to police ATVs inside the city of Lakeside and at the Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area.
Thank you so much. We feel like we'd be better suited to apply for the OHV funds. I mean, 9.9 million distributed last year to even assist, you know, with Dunes Patrol. Our city's ready.
And that grant or those monies are actually all of our dues position are in part funded through OHV money, which has gone through our ATV grant or ATV tags. And other sources.
Right. Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, I think we.
Mayor?
We have one more person.
Question.
Frank Lindsay had a
Sorry,
question.
please.
More of a statement. There's been some very good information put out here about the taxes. My problem is it's like our ATV problems that we've had. We had so much misinformation just before election. And I think that we need to spend more time just before election re-educating people of the 20 cents and what's dropping off and what's happening, because there is people that come out that, sorry, but this is the way I am, they make absolutely no sense. It just stirs the pot and people get angry, and so they don't stop and think about what they've already been told. So what I'm suggesting is that we, what is, the closer it gets to election time, the more we push the facts to override the misinformation that we've all seen here in Lakeside really kill us in the end game. I think that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm really glad you guys came.
And we also need to take into consideration that Lakeside does not have a city tax. So that's another thing that needs to come to the forefront and people need to think about. I mean, people demand services and they want all this stuff and nobody wants to pay. And we have got to be able to get a city tax in order to, for the city to even stay alive, actually. So that's another thing that we'll have to approach the public with. And a lot of people are just flat against it, but nothing's for free.
I'd like to add, and I don't, not say anything more, I promise. I really appreciate what you just said. But in the interest of complete clarity, we're certainly hopeful that our jail levy will pass. But I think you have to be careful not to think that the moment that passes, all is going to be hunky-dory. Because we're going to have to compete for a lot of deputies, and we'll do that. But they're not going to be hired the day after the election. It'll take a while to implement that.
But it gets things in motion.
But without it, we can't even start. So that's number one. Number two, beware, there's a new foundation that was recently formed in Coos County. And write this down. It's the Judith WBIT and Mogan, MOGAN, kind of like Morgan, but Mogan. Judith and Mogan Foundation. The Alpiers Company had but one heir left, and that was Judith and Mogan. And she kind of decided to honor her father by converting the money from their forest lands, which they sold, into the foundation. And they funded that. It's a good sized foundation, $40 million. And they make grants once a year. And they don't make grants for sewer systems, things like that, but they do make grants for increasing an organization's capacity to make grants and help themselves. And it's worthwhile contacting them and learning what it is they do and try to find something that will fit your needs and apply for a grant. They're not in a position to make huge grants, but they're a good size. Yeah.
Do you know the contact person for that?
Her name is Marjorie, MARJORIE. MARJORIE. CROO.
Gonna be county.
267 4113. 4113. Again,
Could you get a little more specific?
Anyway, it would be over a year before another round would develop. Less than a year before it comes your way. So if you're interested in something, you need to look up, find out what it is they do. Visit with them, tell them your need, they'll help. And it won't get you $1 million project, but it might get you $40,000-$50,000.
A little bit helps.
Yeah. But they can't get that done quickly enough to help for this year. Yeah. I go to Fort County.
Well, the gentleman in the back was talking about, the closer you get to election, there's lots of stuff floating around it. It's accurate. In the jail levy, we specifically stated what we talked about the drop off of the pipeline and the drop off of the 911 tower. Asking if people read what's in the statement. You got to read what's in the voter's pamphlet, what's in the statement, but it's there.
Yeah, we'll just do that. So it's kind of helpful.
But the third thing I want to
You
talk
can
about,
say, here's what it really said.
the third thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to add a fourth, is that most of these companies, most of these outfits that make grants, insist on someone having some skin in the game. And you're working against yourself. if you think you're gonna get a lot of grant help, if you don't have some skin in the game.
Matching.
Yep.
Matching. funds.
Yeah,
yeah.
So anyway, that's,
And they're competitive
I've been involved with this a little bit. And so,
and shovel
I'm
ready.
not saying you should or should not have the city tax, but I'm saying it would certainly help your chances. That you could really
Very much.
get that money. One last thing I'm adding, we're having a problem with the parks with garbage. And I know from personal experience, I used to have a cabin on the lake that my garbage went into the county's dumpster. And but Melissa owns the cabin, so.
I have not been trash.
So I know that that's what happened. No terribly expensive. To buy garbage, not only for our camp, but also for the residents of the lake. And even some of the residents of downtown Lakeside. I know no one does that. But I can assure you they do.
I'm talking to TLA, that's illegal dumping, or if that's a service, correct?
I don't know what you call it. It just shouldn't happen.
Well, it used to happen here, and I deal with somebody.
It still happens.
Finger and
Yeah.
drive off, but
Yeah.
I think we can get some word out, Commissioner, and get it from TLA. I drive by there, and then the crows spread it all over.
Oh, yeah.
So the guys, yeah, but you're right, but couldn't address it internally.
Thank you.
So I have to ask, John, is that the reason they disconnect the fish cleaning station? What, James? Is that the reason they disconnected the fish cleaning station water?
That is the reason I was given, but that doesn't make sense. I'm gonna look into that further. That there doesn't seem to be a honest.
And I only asked that because somebody told me that was the reason it is.
Well, they told me that too, but I'm gonna dig into that a little deep.
Thank you.
The fish, no, I came by there just on my way here. It's running again.
What, yeah?
Someone's over there washing their boat on.
Oh, the boat wash.
Fish
The boat wash.
cleaning.
the boat wash, yeah, it's on the cleaning station.
Oh, the fish washing.
Yeah.
Oh, fish cleaning. Okay. Okay, I had that mixed up. Yeah, well, there's where the garbage can, but we're flowing.
That's correct.
And it has not one scale in it, not one fish.
And that brings up another subject, the two floating bathrooms, one of them Lake and South Lake.
Yeah.
They are deep sunk. There's no parts available anymore for those two. And the Oregon Marine Board has quote, looking at replacement, but they've been looking at that for 3 or 4 years now. We haven't made any progress about getting those replaced. They're deep up sitting over there next to the shop over there.
Does make you wonder, seeing hundreds of boats out of the lake and then getting away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Tell you.
You know, we talk about. what-
New ones.
the
birds.
I live on the lake and I get my drinking water.
We tried to get with PLA's assistance. A couple of projects, Pulmonar, East and South Lake. Through Senator Merkley and. haven't heard. But we're still pursuing that. I think we're going to try and clear up theology. Because it's work in Devil's Lake that we need to see. Any other comments? Like I said, I think we're pretty much covered in collaboration, and it sounds to me like the county commissioners are more than willing to collaborate with Lakeside in the future. So the only other thing on the agenda is any closing comments from the commissioners or in council.
This was great. I'd like to thank you all for coming and explaining everything. When we had the Experience Lakeside festivities on Father's Day weekend, I had my car in the car show. And several people came and said this is the first time that they were able to come to Lakeside and actually see what was here. They stayed in the county park. They preferred over Riley Park And they will be coming here with their ATVs and their boats and everything from now on. In fact, we moved up here in 2019 from Northern California. We've seen our grandkids more often because there's more to do here since we moved up here. And there are a whole bunch of my family and my husband's family are coming up in April and they're staying at the county park. So I appreciate everything that you guys are doing for there and making it more enjoyable and people are noticing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I
Our
appreciate
parks
it.
people, in the winter, we take all our parks crews and they do construction projects. So in the winter until beginning of summer, you'll notice the grass gets long in our
Yeah.
park. But that's trying to run it as efficiently as we
Well,
can.
coming up around the first part of April, I guess, is when their spring break is down there.
Probably still be mowed.
Right, so on, I appreciate you guys coming out. I think it's great. I like collaboration. And I look forward to working with all of you in the future, maybe, hopefully.
Thanks for hosting us. I just want to say I've had an opportunity to work with Melissa several times. And she's great. And so it's always nice.
She has been amazing. She has made amazing progress.
I thought for a while, one Melissa in the county was enough.
Makes it easy to remember each other.
That's right.
I want to thank the guys from the sheriff's department here for coming up and really, I know you guys are up against the wall and I know you're doing all that you can, but we appreciate everything you do. Not forgetting about us up here. Really, thank you.
One of them is running for county sheriff. Got my vote.
Yeah.
This guy right here. Quiet veteran, but Gabe Fabrizio is going to be our next sheriff. Sorry. Come on, you do that. Yeah.
I was working with the county several years and it's been a great pleasure. Experience I wouldn't take the world. So thank you again. Great. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes.
We have volunteer positions for you. Easily board.
I don't know, we're keeping.
Put that out during this meeting. Thank you.